All right, today we're going to talk about a React router. It's the magic behind the curtain that makes modern websites feel so incredibly smooth. We're going to explore how it takes a website from kind of clunky to a totally fluid, app-like experience, all happening right inside your browser.
So, let's start with something we've all felt, right? You click a link, the screen goes white for a second, and you sit there waiting for the entire page to load all over again. It just feels old. But then you go to another site, and as you click around, content just appears instantly. It's fast, it's smooth. What's the secret? What's going on there?
Well, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down for you. We'll start with what I call the no-reload magic. Then, we'll get into the key difference between client-side and server-side logic. After that, we'll meet the tool that's basically your app's GPS, learn how to lay down the roads, and then get into some really cool advanced patterns for building an amazing user experience.
Okay, let's dive right into that core idea, the no-reload magic. What really separates that old-school web feeling from the modern one we expect today? It all boils down to how a website handles you moving from one page to another. So on the left, you've got your traditional website, what we call a multi-page application, or MPA. Every single click means a brand new request to the server, a complete page reload, and that jarring flash of a white screen. It's disruptive. But on the right, that's the modern single-page application, or SPA. It only updates the little bits of the page that need to change, which gives you that super fast, fluid experience that honestly feels just like using a native app on your phone.
So how is that even possible? Well, the secret lies in where the routing, the logic that decides what to show you, actually happens. This is the big, fundamental shift from the old way to the new way.
And it's called client-side routing. Basically, your browser is in charge now. Instead of begging a server for a whole new HTML page every time you click something, the application, which is already loaded in your browser, just intelligently decides which pieces to show or hide based on the URL you're trying to go to.
And this table here really lays out the whole trade-off. With server-side, you're constantly going back and forth to the server, which means slower reloads. But with client-side routing, yeah, you have a bigger download that first time you visit. We call that the app shell. But after that, navigation is lightning fast. You're just swapping components that are already there. It's a huge win for user experience. So, if you're building an app with React, how do you do this? Well, this is where React Router steps in. It is the industry standard library for managing all of this client-side navigation. It's pretty much the brains of your app's entire user flow.
And I absolutely love this analogy. It's perfect. Just like a GPS, React Router looks at your current address. That's the URL in the browser, and it tells your application exactly which destination or which UI component it needs to show. It just handles all the traffic for you.
So what's on its to-do list? Well, its main job is to constantly watch that browser URL. And based on that URL, it renders the correct component. And maybe most importantly, it gives us the special tools we need to move between our views without that awful full-page refresh.
All right, enough theory. Let's look at the actual building blocks. How do you actually tell React Router about all the different roads or paths that exist in your application? It really comes down to just a few key components.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with Browser Router. You just wrap this component around your entire app. Think of it like flipping the main power switch for the whole navigation system. It hooks into the browser's history so it can listen for any changes to the URL.
Okay, so the power is on. Now we need a switchboard, right? Something to actually direct the traffic. And that is the job of the routes component. It holds all of our specific paths, and it's smart enough to find the one that perfectly matches where the user is trying to go. And the rules themselves? They're defined with the route component. Each one is a super simple instruction. Hey, when the path is /about, I want you to render the About Us component. You just create one of these for every page in your app. Simple as that.
But how does a user actually trigger these changes? That's where the link component comes in. It might look like a regular link, but it's the final crucial piece of the puzzle. When you click it, it tells React Router to update the URL and render the new view without making the browser do a full refresh. That is the key to the no-reload magic.
Okay, we've got the fundamentals down. But let's be real. Real-world apps are way more complex than just a couple of static pages. So let's explore some more advanced patterns that you're definitely going to need.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. You can't possibly write a separate route for every single product in an online store or for every user on a social media platform. So how do you handle potentially thousands of items with dynamic content?
Well, the answer is dynamic routes.
It's so clever. You create a single route template, something like /users/ID. See that little colon in front of ID? That tells React Router, hey, this is a placeholder. So now this one route will match /users/123 or /users/Jane Doe. And your component can grab that specific ID to go fetch and display the right data.
Another really powerful pattern is nesting. Just imagine a dashboard where the main layout and the sidebar are always visible, but the main content area needs to change. You can do that by defining child routes, like analytics or settings, that render inside of a parent/dashboard route.
And this is incredibly efficient. It lets you build these complex shared layouts without copying and pasting code everywhere. The main dashboard component renders the sidebar, and then it basically tells React Router where to slot in the specific child content, whether that's your analytics page, your settings, or the user's profile.
So, we've seen the concepts, we've seen the tools. How do we put all of this together to create a truly great, seamless user experience? Well, it really just comes down to a few key principles. Here are 4 essential best practices. First, and this is a big one, plan your structure before you even write a line of code. Second, always use the link component for navigating inside your app. Third, you have to have a fallback not found page for when someone types in a bad URL. And finally, just keep your route definitions clean and organized. It'll save you so many headaches later. And this quote really says it all. This is the ultimate goal. When you use tools like React Router correctly, the line between a website and a native application just completely blurs. The technology gets out of the way, and all the user is left with is an experience that's intuitive, fast, and just feels seamless. And that brings us to a final thought. As the web gets more and more powerful and we can deliver these incredibly rich app-like experiences, it really makes you wonder, what's next? What new patterns of interaction are going to pop up now that the old limits of the page reload model are completely gone? It's definitely something to think about.